Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we have somewhat of a review or unboxing of the Marquette Castings 10.75-inch carbon steel skillet. I was about to say cast iron, but no guys, this is a carbon steel skillet. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with my channel lately, I did mention that I was going to do more reviews on carbon steel, and I have been actually posting more videos of carbon steel cookware. I recently posted one of Matt Fur and Debouillet. So if you guys haven't seen that, please do check it out. But with that being said, Marquette Castings does have their own carbon steel skillet, and this guy actually retails for $174.95 US dollars. So technically $175. That does include free shipping and also a lifetime warranty. So let me get some information out to you guys about what they have on their website. First thing that they have here is the handle that never gets hot. So the handle is cast in solid 304 stainless steel and polished by hand. This handle is indestructible and extremely comfortable. One thing that I will say about the handle is that you can tell that it's not necessarily perfect. You can see a little bit of pitting here and there. The grind marks aren't perfect either, and the polish on it is not the best from what I've seen. And I've seen a lot of cookware, but overall you can tell that it has been worked on by hands and not machines. So that to me is a plus. Now the other thing that they say here is the best sear, seriously, measuring in at 3mm thickness. Our pan is a bit thicker than most others, which it really is. The Matt Fur is about 12 inches, and weight wise they're about the same weight, and one of the reasons being is that the thickness of the carbon steel on this pan is a lot thicker, and that extra thickness gives that extra weight. There is some pros and cons to that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's continue with this. It's still lightweight and also improves the heat retention and searing power. So I'll do some reviews. I'll probably do a steak. We'll sear a steak and see how well the sear is, and we'll also measure the heat retention compared to the Matt Fur. So we might do a side-by-side comparison. But like I said, it is thicker and heavier. The next thing that I want to talk about is their description. So what they have to say is, it's time to ditch your disposable aluminum pans for good carbon steel. And after they developed their cast iron line, they decided to set their sights on the carbon steel cookware aspect, and they made this pan. So the first thing that they focused on was the handle. The handle is what really sets our pan apart. It won't get hot. Technically it will get hot, it'll just take longer. What else do they have to say here? It's extremely comfortable and takes up less space in your drawer than that long flat steel handle on other skillets. And technically they're speaking with the French cookware that have the either welded or riveted steel handle, which technically is going to be longer. But speaking about their handle, it is comfortable. I'll give them that. It is very, very comfortable, and it's actually great to hold in the hand. The next thing that they have to say is about the pan. It's pressed from 3mm thick steel. Our carbon steel skillet is a bit thicker than others. Yes, it adds a bit of weight, but it also improves the pan's heat retention and searing power, which I am going to test that and let you guys know if it really does give you that same searing power that cast iron is well known for, while also maintaining that lightweightness from a traditional carbon steel skillet. Let's move on to the other information. The finish. Most manufacturers coat their carbon steel skillets in wax to protect them during transit, requiring the customer to remove the wax and season the pan before use, which is true. I actually had to do that with the Matt Fur and also the Debouillet. So yes, that is true. We don't do that. Our skillets are factory seasoned with several coats of flaxseed oil, which I don't like flaxseed, I'll be honest, which means they are ready to go out of the box. So you can tell that there's oil on this. I gave it a quick wash because it was dusty and dirty, and I don't want to be touching it like that. So I did wash it. And yeah, you can see some of that oil residue kind of not completely wiping off, even though I did use soap. Um, but you can see a little bit of that. What I am going to do is just do a quick egg test for you guys, and we'll see what the factory seasoning is like and see if, it is pretty much ready to cook out of the box. Let's move on to the specs. On their website, they are saying that the cooking surface is 7.5 inches. The overall length, which is from the end of the pan to the end of the handle, they are saying it is 16.75, so 16 3/4 inches. The top rim diameter, which is from here to here, is 10.5, which, if they're stating that it's 10.5, then why name this a 10.75-inch skillet? I don't understand. Anyway, guys, inside wall height, so from the inside to the top of the rim, we're looking at 1.75 inch, which is 1 3/4 inches. Wall thickness, 3 millimeter, very thick. And the weight, they are saying it's 4.4 pounds, which, yeah, feels like that. Care and use. Your carbon steel skillet is ready to go right out of the box. You should hand wash and allow it to fully dry before. Allow it to fully dry. Well, I wouldn't let it fully dry. I would dry it if I were you, because you can still develop rust. Perhaps not the best way of stating things. But anyway, allow it to fully dry before stashing it away in a cupboard or drawer. Like I said, with carbon steel and cast iron cookware, typically you want to hand wash it. You don't want to throw these in the dishwasher, because believe me, you will end up with a rusty pan. Make sure you hand wash this. Make sure that you fully dry it as well, whether it's on the stovetop or towel dry it. And that's the best way to keep it from rusting. In my opinion, that's the best way to maintain a carbon steel or cast iron skillet. So far, my initial thoughts of this is that it's a great pan. It feels high quality. Just the gauge, how thick the carbon steel is. It's a thick pan, and you can feel the heft in it. It almost feels as heavy as their cast iron skillet, or might even be, it might be heavier than their cast iron skillet. I've actually owned their cast iron skillet for over a year now. I am affiliated with Marquette, but they have sent me products. But most, like this, I purchased myself. This I purchased myself. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. This pan is great. There's nothing really bad that I can talk about it. The handle feels great. The weight is great. The way it seasons, no issues at all. I've used and abused it, and it performs great. I don't think I've ever had any issues with it. And it's easy to maintain, a lot easier than, and I've mentioned this many times, that I want to say that perhaps Smithy probably hates me for it, but Smithy is just one of those pans that is a little too polished, too smooth, that seasoning does take a lot longer to adhere to the pan than something like this. The way they make this, well, I don't know exactly the way. I think it's a wax mold. It's smooth overall. I do know that they machine the bottom heat ring. Overall, this skillet, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great skillet, and very underrated, because not a lot of people have given this pan a chance. A lot of people know about Finex, a lot of people know about Field Company, and a lot of people know about Butterpat. Not very many know about Marquette, and Marquette is one of those hidden gems that if you guys were to give this a try and use it for a day or so, I'm sure you'd fall in love with it as well. I purchased this with my own money, and I don't regret it. I love this pan, and like I mentioned before, all the times that I've used it, no issues, and all the food that I've cooked with it has turned out delicious, so no problems there. Let me read a little bit more information. They also gave me a card here that is handwritten or hand signed. One is an inspection from the manufacturer, and also the packaging inspection, so that's actually a pretty nice touch. They also give good information here, and I'll read a little bit about it. What you need to know about your new skillet. If you are new to carbon steel, it doesn't behave like your aluminum or stainless steel cookware. It might take time to get to know your pan, which is true. Stainless steel is completely different and same thing with aluminum or nonstick cookware. Not going to behave the same. This is, if you're familiar with cast iron, technically that's what it behaves like a cast iron pan. The skillet is coated with baked on flaxseed oil. It's ready to use, but it will improve with use and additional baked on coats of oil. Carbon steel seasons differently than cast iron. Please see the carbon steel seasoning instructions on our website for more information. So they are saying that it is a little bit different. The next thing is preheating the skillet will make food less likely to stick, which is true. The handle will get hot. Always use caution. So funny thing here is they said the handle that never gets hot, and then on this little card here they're saying the handle will get hot. Always use caution. So I mean, they're back and forth, and I don't know. I still like Marquette, but let's keep going. Allow the skillet to cool before hand washing. A little soap won't harm the seasoning. Just avoid hard scrubbing with abrasives. Dry your skillet after use with a towel or on the stove. Don't soak in the sink. Here, they didn't say that. They just said to let it dry. I don't know. It is normal for rust to show up on the skillet if it is exposed to too much moisture. If you see rust on your skillet, just wipe it off and rub on a small amount of oil, which is not the best tip here. If there is rust on your skillet, this is carbon steel, which is similar to cast iron. My best tip for that is if you see anything, if you guys have seen the Lodge Rust Eraser, I would consider that. Now, if you guys don't have that, the best thing would also be to soak a little bit of vinegar on the pan itself, and then with a little bit of steel wool if it's pretty bad. A little bit of steel wool is not going to hurt the pan, but just vinegar itself, also just letting it soak for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then just washing it with soap and water should get rid of it. And then you add a coat of seasoning or add some oil and let it heat up, come up to temperature or a smoking point for that matter on the stovetop, and you should be ready to go for your next cook. But definitely not just wipe it with a towel and then rub on oil. I don't think that's a good tip. Almost kind of like mixed information. So their cookware is great, but honestly their information is just here and there and not the best. But I'm not trying to bash on Marquette. The other thing that I want to say is that the edges, smooth as can be. This is probably the smoothest edge. Actually, Matfer has a pretty smooth edge, so I can see here that they smooth out the edges on both sides, so the inside and the outside. No sharp edges. I actually did watch a Uncle Scott's kitchen video on I think it was Moviel. He was, I think, cleaning it or seasoning it, and he ran his finger across the top rim and he cut himself. And he did mention some cookware still has a sharp edge. So I'm glad that Marquette actually filed it down, and for me it just shows that they're paying attention to detail. So with that being said, let's get to the egg test so you guys can see how well it performs. You can see we have the pan preheating, and it is actually heating up a lot quicker than cast iron, so that's nice. That's one thing that I do like about carbon steel cookware, is that it does heat up a lot quicker than your traditional cast iron. All right. Oh my goodness, the egg rolled all the way over here. Thank goodness it didn't fall over. All right, guys, we're gonna add a little bit of butter. And I actually like using the Kirkland grass-fed butter. If you guys haven't tried this one is actually really great. Obviously, guys, this is a brand new pan, so I am going to add a little bit more than usual of butter. We got to get a good amount of fat in there. And I think that might be too much, so I might take some out. But we'll get the bottom nice and coated and the sides as well. Swirl it around, get the pan nice and coated. Like I mentioned, guys, I have it in a low setting to avoid any kind of sticking. Let that set for a minute before we try and give it a shake. I'm hoping that it will release on its own. I just kind of touched it to see if it was sticking, but doesn't look like it is. We're just gonna let it set a bit and then we'll give it a shake and see what happens. No, looks like we have a little bit of sticking. Yeah, we got some sticking.
A few moments later.
There we go. And you can see some of the egg that's been stuck there. See if I can actually toss or flip this. Nope. I would say that's a half toss. We don't have any of the black residue, as you can see here. Sometimes you can get black residue, not that it's harmful or toxic. It's just a little bit of seasoning that perhaps has lifted off from the pan onto the food itself. Like I mentioned, if you guys do see a little bit of the black specks on your eggs, doesn't mean that it's bad or that it's not good. You can still eat it. Seasoning on this, not too bad, but we are going to cook more things on this and we'll see how it does. After that, I'll give it a good round of seasoning and let you guys know how it performs. Come on. Nope. There we go. And actually, let me remove this handle cover. The handle, actually, it's actually pretty cool. Not hot. Actually, over here it feels cold. Over here it feels warm, but as you can see, I can still put my hand on it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this, whether you guys are planning to perhaps take a look at Marquette Castings. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I appreciate your time. Thank you guys for watching.